The Parliament of the Netherlands, one of the great countries in the European Union, has just voted to tax something that they've never taxed before. Not income or dividends or rent, types of income that you also probably wouldn't want to be taxed on in the Netherlands or much of Europe. But they're going to tax you on money that you haven't even earned yet. An unrealized capital gains tax has just been approved in the Netherlands. And so if you've got a stock or a Bitcoin portfolio and it goes up this year, you're going to have to pay a tax on that, even if you never sell a single share, at least starting in 2028. The government will take 36% of those paper gains, and even if the portfolio goes down the next year, well, oops, too bad. I'm going to tell you what's happening in the Netherlands and what you need to know so that you can leave now before this tax comes into effect. So I predicted for years you'll see more and more of this from Western governments. I've been telling you unrealized capital gains taxes and exit taxes and all kinds of new stuff is going to become a thing. What we've really said is they're just going to keep coming up with new kinds of taxes in addition to raising the taxes that already exist, sort of a double whammy. But let's talk about what's happening in the Netherlands. And I think you'll see this happening across Europe and perhaps happening across the West as well. You take the risk, you absorb the volatility, you don't touch the money in that Bitcoin portfolio, the stock portfolio, or whatever, but the government is going to send you a bill anyway. And so when governments tax you before you earn money, it's time to go where you're treated best. If it's your first time here, I'm Andrew Henderson. I've spent the last 15 plus years building a life of optionality with lower tax rates, multiple second citizenships. We'll talk about that if you're Dutch and how you can handle that in a moment, as well as asset protection. If you want to learn how Nomad Capitalist helps clients build sort of optionality that I have built for myself, you go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. And that's enough about me. Let's talk about what's actually passed by the Dutch Parliament. The law, if you basically translate it into English, is the actual return in Box 3 Act. So Box 3 is where you put like certain types of earnings. House has approved this. Senate is still required. We have no reason to believe the Senate won't approve this. If it is fully enacted, it will go into effect January 1st, 2028. So that's important. One of the things that we always tell you is if you want to get out of your country's tax system, you have to plan in advance. The good news is if you're a Dutch citizen, at least for now, you can simply become what we'd call tax non-resident. You can leave the country, deregister, cancel whatever necessary ties exist. This is not tax advice, but this is the kind of thing that we do for our clients is with our network of experts, go through and kind of help you figure out how'd you get out of tax in the Netherlands? How'd you get into tax somewhere else that's more tax friendly? Like, do you need a residence permit? Like, what are all the things that you need? You have to have all that figured out and be out of the system if this law passes by January 1st, 2028, because that's when they start going after you for these phantom gains. The phantom gains will be subject to a flat 36% tax on the actual returns in Box 3. And there's some kind of fine print there. So unrealized appreciation on stocks, bonds, crypto, you get 1,800 euros annual tax-free, unlimited loss carry forward over 500 euros. That's the fine print. What they are exempting is certain business assets if you start a business, but any kind of investment that you're making, again, stocks, bonds, crypto, et cetera, you're gonna have to pay this 36% tax. You get a tiny little exclusion every year, and as long as you live in the Netherlands, you're gonna have to pay that. Now, why did they change the system? The old system focused on assumed returns. This factors into another thing we've been telling you for years. They're going to change the game to be more and more in their favor. Before, the government didn't actually tax you entirely on what was actually earned. There was kind of this fictional rate of return on assets, and then they kind of taxed you, and that's the different boxes. The Dutch Supreme Court ruled that unconstitutional back in like 2021. And the idea was that, hey, like people are being taxed on income that doesn't actually exist. You can't do that. Well, leave it to the politicians. Like they're not just going to simply let a tax go away. These Western countries are all bankrupt. They actually very much need your money. And so that's where this new tax came in, because when taxpayers were allowed to show their real, often lower returns, the state revenue dropped. They estimated they were losing about 2.3 billion euros per year. Now, you've heard me read articles for years, if you've been watching, where anytime a government wants to propose a tax increase, they say, if only we do this, we can bring in an extra, 52, billion euros, or, this will help us bring in 3 billion pounds every year. And it's like, yeah, robbing a bank brings in money. Doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. Doesn't mean it's right. But the justification, as if like morality and you earning your money and you working hard, like that doesn't really exist to governments. They just have to plug the hole. They've spent like drunken sailors. The Netherlands is no different. All the European countries really have spent, and now like no one's going to keep voting for them if they like take away services. So they've got to plug 2.3 billion euros per year when they're already in the hole. And so Parliament said, hey, we need to figure out a system that we can legally defend, not morally defend, but legally defend, and that will protect the revenue that we lost when people actually like got to pay tax on the money that they earned. When we started doing things fairly, people paid less tax. That's not what we want. We want more tax so we can spend it. And so for financial assets, that included unrealized capital gains, and that's their way of basically restoring this legality while preserving the tax intake. So they can't manage their money. You have to not only take risk in your own business and your own investments, but you have to take the risk for them, the politicians. They take no risk, you take it all. And they tell you, hey, that's just the price of being a citizen. But what do I tell you? Citizenship is infrastructure, not identity. You're not obligated to stay there. And so let's go through, from a liquidity standpoint, what happens on this. You will owe the tax even if you never sell. This is the thing that's become kind of a popular talking point in the Western world, even though most, like, I don't know, many of our clients are taking advantage of this, but like the top, the 0.01% are borrowing money against their Tesla stock. Elon Musk recently said he has less than $1 billion in cash, even though he's approaching $1 trillion in net worth. His money's all tied up in shares, so he borrows against those shares. I'm not borrowing against Nomad Capitalist shares. I run a business that makes money and I spend the money. Probably you do too. And so the government will defend this perhaps by saying that like the Elon Musk types are going to be stopped because they're going to have to pay 36% every year, but you were probably never living that way. So as is so often the case, it happened in the US, it happens all over Europe, like you're basically going to be punished for them to solve a problem, not only to plug their own revenue, but to be politically cohesive and go after some very, very high strata of taxpayers. The market goes up, you will pay the tax. If the market crashes the next year, you've already paid. Again, real estate and startup shares are treated differently. Those will be taxed at realization. So the good news is, at least yet, if you have a business, it's not going to be like, hey, what were your SpaceX shares worth, or Nomad Capitalist, or is it worth more this year or less? That becomes really, really, really difficult to like value people's private companies, especially if you don't raise money. Now, my concern is, once the law exists, once the framework exists, it's pretty easy just to say, hey, add that too. But for right now, your startup and your real estate will be protected. Obviously, real estate for political reasons, that'd be ridiculous. Now, what if your portfolio is volatile? What if your wealth is illiquid? Or what if you are asset rich and cash poor, like Elon Musk, for example? Well, you're stuck. And so, my belief is you can go and you can get some kind of local tax advice and you can try and cushion the blow. Where I come from, the United States, people moved from California to Nevada and they saved a few percentage points in tax. My philosophy here is, especially if you're a Dutch citizen and you have the ability to live anywhere you want in Europe, you ought to just say, I don't want to pay 36% for paper gains. Where's that cash going to come from, by the way? Hey, why don't you just move somewhere else? So we're going to talk about that in a second, but I do want you to know this is unusual. Germany, Norway, other high-tax countries, they don't bother doing this. Even if they tax wealth, they have yet to bother doing unrealized capital gains taxes. The question is there a contagion effect? And so we're talking today about the Netherlands, but if you live anywhere in Europe, and I would argue anywhere in the West, these countries borrow bad ideas from each other. And so if it happens in the Netherlands, you think it won't happen in France tomorrow or Spain the next day? Even if you're not a European citizen. I have a friend who lives in Spain. He's a Spanish taxpayer. He doesn't have the benefit of being a European citizen or a Spanish citizen. He's American. But he will be taxed whatever Spain decides to do. And so you don't have to be a citizen to be hurt by this. But if you are a citizen, here's what you ought to do. I'm not going to be a typical, person you see on YouTube or on a podcast. You got to move to Dubai. Like, that's one option. We've helped our clients move to over 30 different tax-friendly countries, or at least we've advised them that they can do that. Within the European Union, if you're a Dutch citizen, or if you have permanent resident status, or if your spouse is a citizen and you can move with them, anyone who just can move freely across the European Union, you have a number of more friendly countries. I mean, really no other country has an unrealized capital gains tax, but if you're going to move, you might as well reduce all the taxes, including the other ones that you've been tolerating for all these years. So Malta, Cyprus, and Ireland stand out to me as potentially good places to move, not just for lower taxes, but because some of them offer a path to citizenship, which could actually protect you going forward. And so Malta, Cyprus, and Ireland all have non-dom tax systems where not only are they not going to tax your unrealized capital gains, but you're going to get the benefit of being able to reorganize your affairs. That business that's incorporated in the Netherlands, you can move out of the Netherlands and you can move your business not even to Malta or Cyprus or Ireland, although those wouldn't be the worst places in the world to set up your business. You could potentially move your business to Hong Kong or to the Cayman Islands or any number of other very low tax or even tax-free countries. And as a non-dom, if structured properly, you may be able to dramatically reduce or even eliminate income tax depending on how you run your business or how you manage your investment portfolio. And so you have dramatic benefits on the income coming in, and you have a leg up on non-Europeans if you have the ability to live in Europe and you don't need to sponsor yourself or get a residence permit through some other means. So Malta, Cyprus, and Ireland are the ones that stand out to me. Any country without an unrealized capital gains tax, of course, solves this one specific problem. But again, why would you move to a country just to avoid a new tax when you've already been paying ridiculous amounts of tax on other stuff? Here's what I like about those countries. If you live in Ireland for 5 years, you can apply for Irish citizenship. And so the problem with being Dutch in particular, this is the unique problem to the Netherlands, which most European countries no longer have. But if you're Dutch, people say, well, how do I get a second citizenship? We're not allowed to have dual citizenship. Number one, you can get permanent resident status in other countries. We'll come to that in a minute. You could also just say, what's the difference between being Dutch and being Irish or being Cypriot? They both give me the ability to live in the European Union. And if the Netherlands ever comes to their senses, I can always move back there later. So Ireland, 5 years. If you're watching this, you already speak English. And so you will be able to adapt in Ireland. Cyprus has a path where some people are waiting, 7, 8, 10 years to become citizens. But if you meet certain criteria, you can be naturalized in as little as 3. And both of those countries allow dual citizenship. And so not only would you have an equal weight European citizenship, which would allow you that open access to the Netherlands, to your home country, but you'd then be able to stack other passports on top of that to give yourself further optionality away from this becoming a contagion effect in Europe. To me, the biggest challenge with holding a citizenship, particularly a Western citizenship, where they don't allow you to have another passport in most cases, is they could do, number one, make it harder to get out, make it more punitive, more expensive to leave the country's tax system, meaning you're trapped. We've had clients in the past where they would like to renounce their US citizenship. They'd like to leave their country. They have so many unrealized capital gains that when they trigger an exit tax on the way out, they couldn't afford it. So that's its own form of unrealized capital gains tax they could apply in the exit, not just while you're living there. Or they could impose citizenship-based taxation, something that France has talked about, to where no matter where you live, you have to pay. And so the second one really speaks more to having the citizenship. If you're a Dutch citizen, you're at risk of whatever the government wants to do. You don't have a second passport, and you cannot just walk in and say, I don't want to be Dutch anymore in advance of a law. And so that, to me, is why it's so important to get yourself physically out of the country before any deadline, in this case, potentially January 1st, 2028. You want to be gone. Not just like, hey, I'm traveling the world. You want to have a new home, a new residence with a residence permit, a tax status, and be out of the Netherlands system with everything you have to do to get into the new place and out of the old place. But if they ever decide to go citizenship-based taxation, then you're stuck because you only have that passport, and it's going to take you 6 months or a year or more just to get a basic citizenship by investment. You're not going to have time. I'll tell you from people I've seen in the past, you won't have time to work around that. And so potentially moving to a place like Cyprus or Ireland where you can get a track towards naturalization, you could either give up the Dutch citizenship first by getting a citizenship by investment passport, the Caribbean or Nauru or wherever else you want, or you could simply wait and just let the naturalization knock off the Dutch passport. So those are the countries if you want to stay in Europe. For some folks, that's comfortable. And you have a track to getting an equal quality passport, which means it may be easier for you to step out of the Netherlands if things ever get really crazy. What other people like to do, though, is they say, you know what, I don't believe in the future of Europe at all. I do believe there'll be a contagion effect, and I don't really need to have a passport that allows me to move freely throughout Europe, so I'm going to go to one of 3 other places in the world. I'm going to go to Latin America, where you've got tax-friendly countries ranging from Costa Rica and Panama all the way down to the more frontier Paraguay, where I was recently. Chile has, short-term tax savings. Those countries in general, you can work towards a passport. It's not going to be a European Union passport, of course, but you can work towards a second citizenship to where you say, hey, I can knock off the Netherlands passport if I want in 3 or 5 or 7 years. What's great about those is you don't have to apply for citizenship in Paraguay after the requisite number of years living there. If you can apply for citizenship after 3, you can also apply for citizenship after 5. And so if you ever find yourself in a situation where, hey, the Netherlands is really going in the wrong direction, and again, you can put any European country or any Western country, for that means, as a stand-in here. Let me get my permanent residence in some Latin American country, and then I can apply for citizenship when I want to. That is potentially just as good of a way to go to get out of the system. And again, if the Netherlands doesn't change their dual citizenship laws in this case, you would just naturalize in Paraguay, for example. You'd tell the Netherlands, you're out, and now whatever craziness they do, you're no longer subject to. If you just want the lifestyle and you're not as concerned about the Netherlands going in the wrong direction, Thailand and Malaysia in Southeast Asia, they are not quite as simple as some people make them out to be, but like Thailand, they made their tax system more complicated. I would say it kind of sort of runs like Ireland's non-dom system. So the question is, do you want to live in Ireland and pay more, but be able to get a passport? Or do you want to have the lifestyle and the weather and the freedom of Thailand, but not be on the track for a passport? Similar tax structure. Malaysia, a bit more friendly. And then, of course, you've got the Gulf. You've got the UAE. We've talked about Oman. Saudi Arabia is increasingly being asked about. All those are very tax friendly. None of those are going to put you towards a passport. And so that you can see there's a kind of couple different directions to go. Europe and get the European passport to replace the Netherlands if you want. And again, if you can apply for Irish citizenship after 5, you can also apply after 8 as long as you keep living there. You can go the Latin American route and work towards the slightly lesser quality passport in that it doesn't allow free movement in the EU, or you can just say, you know what, screw the whole system, I'm gonna go to Southeast Asia or the Gulf. Now, if you're just living in Europe and you're not a European citizen, the question is, do I want to keep living in Europe if this is the direction that they're going? You've got potentially until January 1st, 2028. It's going to take some time. People just think, I just have to leave the country. No, there's steps you have to take. That's what my team helps clients do with the help of a whole bunch of external resources that we use, firms and tax experts all around the world. If you want our help, you go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. But there's a couple different ways to approach this, as you can see. Not everybody should just move to Dubai. Not everybody should just cross the border to Belgium, which I know people do, or go down to Luxembourg or wherever else. You want to really think about how you want to handle this. In my personal opinion, I think having only one Western passport when this is the direction they're going is dangerous. I understand that it may be a decision that really takes some time to say, if you've been living in the Netherlands your entire life and you're Dutch, giving that up is not going to come overnight. But that's why I want you to get different residence permits in places like Latin America where you can be naturalized in the future, and or somewhere else in Europe where you could be naturalized in the future, which actually requires you to live there more so than the Latin American ones. You want to get a couple of residence permits going so that the clock is ticking on your ability to naturalize, so that way you can push the decision into the future and you're building increasing optionality with every passing day without having to make the decision to give up your citizenship today. I've seen no evidence that another one is going to open up dual citizenship except for the limited categories that already exist. So you've got to prepare yourself. What if they get more aggressive on taxes? Where am I going to go? And if you're not Dutch, but you have another European passport, what if they do this to you? And what if they combine that with some system like in France, where they keep trying to tax you no matter where you live? You're seeing the future of Europe. And to all the Americans and Canadians and Australians who want to go and live in Europe because they believe in the heritage, we help clients do that too. But understand that some of the most romantic countries are going in this direction. It's the Maltas, it's the Cypruses, it's the Irelands, which have plenty of romance of their own. It's the Greeces even, who've realized, hey, we hit rock bottom and we need to get some money. Those are the kinds of places that you're going to be going. The Netherlands and the Frances and the UKs and the Spains are all moving in the wrong direction on tax. And so you may want to avoid living there, but if you already live there and if you're already a citizen, you want to make some hard decisions.